Hello and selamat petang to fellow Malaysians who are tuning in. Welcome to everyone to episode 5 of the second online Malaysian Olympism in Action community series, Olympism as a Way of Life, Healthy Living Through the Practice of Sport. This episode is entitled, How Relevant is Olympism in Other Countries? My name is Linio, and I'm a proud member of the Malaysian Olympism in Action community. For those of you who do not know who we are, let me briefly give you a short introduction about us. So the Malaysian Olympism in Action community is made up of former participants of the Malaysian Olympic Academy. We all come from different walks of life. We all have our own careers, but we are all united through sports and the way it can educate, empower, and positively impact lives, not only physically, but mentally and socially. This is what Olympism is all about. Olympism is not only about the Olympics and elite athletes. Olympism is a philosophy of life, and therefore, it is a universal language. It seeks to create a way of life based on the joy of effort, the educational values of good example, social responsibility, and respect for universal, fundamental, ethical principles. So in this episode, we want to find out how Olympism is implemented in other countries outside of Malaysia. We want to hear its relevance and benefits from the perspective of other cultures and societies, in hopes that Malaysians can be further convinced of the importance of physical, sports, and Olympic education. The fundamental principles of Olympism, as written in the Olympic Charter, states that the practice of sport is a human right. Every individual must have the possibility of practicing sport without discrimination of any kind and in the Olympic spirit, which requires mutual understanding with a spirit of friendship, solidarity, and fair play. I'm very honored to be having this dialogue today with two incredible women who have tirelessly pursued to achieve what the founder of the modern Olympics, Baron Pierre de Coubertin, had set out to do in their own countries, which is to stress the importance of sport and physical education in schools. Our first guest is practically our neighbor. She is actually half Malaysian, and I have known her for the past 11 years as we both worked in the inaugural Youth Olympic Games in Singapore. And since then, we have actually kept in touch ever since. Currently a sports educator in an international school in Singapore and a visiting data scientist in Perdana University in Malaysia, Mary holds a Master's of Advanced Studies in Sport Administration and Technology from the International School of Sports and Technology in Switzerland, a Master's in Olympic Studies from the International Olympic Academy in Greece, and a postgraduate diploma in physical education from the National Institute of Education in Singapore. For the past 20 years, she has been an avid sports volunteer, organizing sport programs to bond the community and remains strong in the promotion of sport at the grassroots level. In 2016, she was commissioned by the IOC to conduct an impact study on the intangible legacies of the Youth Olympic Games as perceived by young Singaporeans. Her passion for sport, education, and data is very addictive, and she draws upon it to always speak up for what is right and lobby for the greater good. I think her quote on her Facebook profile says all about her. It says, "Without data, you are just another person with an opinion." Our second guest dials in all the way from Jerusalem. She is the co-founder of Sport Life Plus, an international consulting company that uses physical activity and life skills education to boost the the developmental phases of youth and their entourage to successfully meet the challenges of today's world. She received the World Fair Play Award in 2016, presented by the International Fair Play Committee, and functions as the CEO of the International Catchball Federation. She views sport as a way of life, not only as a 17-day Olympic Games celebration, but in building a structural sports component into children's education in every country and to turn it into a brilliant example of grassroots program with massive positive impact, thus to spread and promote sport and Olympism in the world. In 2015, she led a team that mobilized the Olympic Values Educators pilot program, where 15 schools were selected and their physical education teachers were trained to incorporate Olympism in their syllabus. This pilot project went on to be a big success, and in 2017, the program was incorporated in more than 100 schools, where approximately 10,000 students were exposed to Olympism. She is currently part of a professional team that is writing the new National Physical Education Program for schools in Israel. So I'm not going to say anything more. Let's welcome with a virtual applause Ms. Mary Ang and Hila Davidov. Hi, Mary. Hi,
Hello.
Hila.
Hello. Hi, thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope everything is well in Singapore and in Israel.
Yeah.
So let's start immediately because we want to make use of the entire 45 minutes to 1 hour that we have. And we have two incredible women, such as yourself, to give us more information of what you have done in your careers. So let's start with this first question. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. I know I've talked a lot about you guys, but tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you come across Olympism? Maybe we can start with Mary.
Okay. Hi. Can you hear me, Neil?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Good evening, Neil, and thanks much for the introduction. And also good evening and good afternoon and good morning to friends who are watching this webinar. So do give us a shout out on our live chat so that we know you are around. So yes, Neil, so as you were sharing my details, I would sum up myself as a lady of many sporting interests. I love to play sports. I love to talk about sports. I love to think about sports. I love to promote sports. And I think most importantly, I love to learn about sports. So basically, me, myself, and I am just a lady of many sporting interests. Then the next question that you were asking was how Olympism came into my life. Because of my interest in sports, I participated in many sporting events at a community level. I was so active in it that the grassroots leader came to know me. So one day he came out to me and asked, "Hey, Mary, since you are so interested in sports, would you want to join us to promote the sport to the residents?" I thought about it, and without hesitation, I said, "Okay, I will join you." So that was 20 years ago. That's what you've mentioned. And in that following year, my chairman, he asked me if I was interested to go for this IOC Sports Administration course. That's a 1-month course, and you need to go for the session about 3 times a week at the old Kallang Stadium, so where the current Singapore Sports Hub is located. So that was 20 years ago. So I thought, okay, why not? I wanted to learn about sports. And it was an IOC Sports Administration course. I think it was the first to be launched in Singapore. So I was very fortunate. I was there at the right time. The chairman nominated me, asked me, and I agreed. So that was how I came to know about Olympism or Olympic education in my life.
But Mary, I have to ask you also.
Yeah,
You were the president of the Handball Federation in Singapore, right? Would you consider that handball is your favorite sport?
I am a lady of many sporting interests, but definitely handball has a special place in my heart.
Okay. Yeah. So we know about handball. All right. So let's go to you, Hila. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So first of all, hello from Israel. it's look like we are very close now. So there is some positive situation with this Zoom. So we can come from all over the world with like a minute and start to chat.
Definitely.
So hello everyone, and thank you, Neo, for inviting me for this session. For me, it was actually sport was always part of my life. I can't remember myself not doing sport. Never like I was never like an Olympic champion. I was never like elite sport, but always do sport as a part of my life. And when I graduate high school, actually in Israel, you go to the army, and then after the army, you go to study in the university. And like my parents wanted, I start to learn engineering. But after the first year, I understood I need to do something that it's in my heart, like to do something that I love. And I always say, you will never work one day in your life if you do what you love. And I decided to go and study the first degree of physical education as a teacher. And then I I start working in the elite sports department in Wingate Institute. It's the professional unit of the NOC, Israel NOC. And from that till 2017, 22 years, actually, I was working with only the top athletes, only with elite sports. I also was a part of for the Olympic delegation since Athens till Rio. In the last one, I was deputy chef de mission, and I was charged on few disciplines. The main one was judo, and judo is a very popular in Israel. And I was the professional coordinator of judo. So I think if Mary likes handball, I think I love all sports, but I have something very special for judo because judo was the first one to bring medals to Israel in '92 before I was. And then I was a part of the professional team for 3 other medals in 2004 with Arik Zeevi, and then in 2016 in Rio, we won 2 medals in judo, one Yarden Gerbi, and the other one was Orisa Son. So my heart is with a special place for judo, but as I said, I love all sports. Then I I had my second degree during this year. It was business administration because I was dealing as organizing the team, so it helped me to be like do a managing work. But still, I felt like I want to do something that is relatively to Olympism. Then I came in 2015 to the Olympism project. And as you said, we started a pilot of 15 teachers in Israel, in 15 regions in Israel. It was a small pilot, which was combined from 6 material that I gave and trained the teachers. And they started to do it in school when the highest or the end of this program was the Olympic Day. So the class that was going through this program was charged to do the Olympic Day in their school. And it was very success. And then the next year, a lot of schools wanted to come to this project. And then now I'm a student in the Cologne University, finalized my second master degree in Olympic studies and working on my PhD research, which is relevant for this session because it's about the OVEP program, to see how the OVEP program, if somebody doesn't know, it's the Olympic Values Education Program, is working and spreading around the world. And I will talk and explain about it later. And together with this, I also a member of the CIPC, it's the Pierre de Coubertin Committee, which is going together with schools. And so I actually changed my role from elite sports for sports for all. And I think elite sport it's good, but for the minority. So I really think the the main and the more important things is about the sports for all. From that will come few champions, but sports need to be for all, not only for the champion.
That's right. So on this note, I want to ask you, which is giving you more pleasure or more satisfaction? Is it the elite sports or is it sports for all?
It's a funny question, because when I was in the elite sports, if somebody talked to me about the sports for all, I said, yes, it's very important. And if you have the structure as much as you have, then you will have in the end of the pyramid more champions. But it was like when you came to the Olympic Games, it was something I can't even imagine how it's like filling your heart and you're in such a festival. But actually, it's like a La La Land, I call it, because the real life is the sports for all. And now when I'm in sports for all, I just think it's much more important.
Right.
You can't do sports for all with not having the top, the elite sports, because the elite sports are the role model, playing a really, really important role in this to spread the Olympism, because the children and the youth look on them like a role model. But still, it's very, very important to spread the Olympism for all.
Definitely. And on this note also, because you said like the Olympic Games is like the La La Land and everything. Well, I want to ask Mary, because Mary, you and I, we were at the Youth Olympic Games, right? So during that time, I mean, having the Youth Olympic Games in your own country, you know, and also having this strong connection to sport, to physical education, to Olympic values at that time. How did you feel? How did you feel when you heard that Youth Olympic Games was going to be in Singapore?
Okay. Okay, frankly and honestly, I didn't know that that Singapore bid for it and then we got the hosting right of it. I didn't know about it until much later. That means that could be like in few months later, then I realized that Singapore is going to host the Youth Olympic Games. Because I think the issue is that in Singapore, we seldom have a lot of information about the Olympic Games unless you're elite athletes. I think that was how it was. So the Youth Olympic Games to us was something that is a little bit distant. So we were not told, or was very excited about it. But it was after I think the government formed the Youth Olympic Games Committee and it started to have serious promotion of the games. Then we really got the vibe of it, that okay, this is going to be a very major event and all hands are to be on deck. We need to contribute to this event. And as a sports educator, as a physical educator, then of course I get to know more about it and I resonate with the values that they were promoting. And that was how I got myself more and more involved in the 5-link world. So I didn't regret that. It was a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The amount of time we spent on it and the friendship that we made there and then, and how we push each other to reach the finishing line. I think it was really a one-in-a-lifetime memory. And looking backwards at all the things that we have done, it was really simply the excellence, friendship, and respect, those values that pull us over. So yeah. I think it was really a good thing that I mean, at least for my generation, the people who were really much involved, and of course the kids who were involved then at a very young age. I think it was something that they will never forget. And as I said, it's a one lifetime. When will Singapore host the next Youth Olympic Games? We do not know.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, even as a Malaysian working in Singapore, I had that very proud kind of feeling, because we are practically neighbors, you know, practically like brother and sister between Malaysia and Singapore. So let's go to the second question that I have for Mary. So Mary, you mentioned that, well, in Singapore also, you didn't really like know about the Olympic Games, and Olympics is also in the in Singapore. When you talk about the Olympic Games, it's a lot about elite athletes, about high performance sport. So I know that you actually also just recently completed your studies, master's degree program in Olympic Studies, Olympic Education, Organization and Management of Olympic Events from the University of Peloponnese, if I'm correctly saying that,
Yeah.
with the support of the International Olympic Academy. So could you say that maybe the Youth Olympic Games actually motivated you to go and pursue this program?
No, the Youth Olympic Game made me realize that, I mean, being involved in it, I realized that there's so much thing I need to learn. So what that motivation led me to do my first master's in Switzerland. That was in 2013. So that motivation came later. For the master program in Greece came later. That was only after I finished a research study with the IOC. So after the research study with the IOC, the impact study in 2016, I realized that, okay, I know a lot about Olympic Games, but about the future of Olympic Games, of modern Olympic Games, but I did not know the ancient Olympic Games, how it came about, why was there ancient Olympic Games, and what were the ancient philosophies about the Olympic Games there and why did it stop? So I felt that my knowledge in that ancient Olympic Games was lacking. And so as a lady of many sporting interests, I love to learn about sports. So that made me realize that I need to do something about this incomplete puzzle. So I look into my life calendar. Well, I could take, a short sabbatical. So I registered for the course and I went to Greece for the program. So the motivation came only after the impact study I did in 2016 to learn about the ancient Olympic Games.
I see. And today you got your results, right? So I want to congratulate you on that. And you got full marks. So congratulations, Mary, on completing your master's.
Hey, I thought that's a private between both of us.
Well, good news have to be shared, right, Hila? I think we agree, right? So Hila, I mean, okay, it's a good thing that Mary actually talked about ancient Olympics and everything, because then you are also right now part of a professional team that is actually writing the National Physical Education Program for schools. Is ancient Olympics within that syllabus? Can you tell us a little bit about the structure of physical education in schools in your country, and kind of like what kind of changes will be implemented compared to the previous program? So what are the new things that you're implementing?
So actually, now, as I told before, that I moved from the elite sport to the sports for all. Now I moved from the sport ministry to the education ministry, because the Ministry of Education is charged on this curriculum, not the sport ministry, like is charged on the Olympic athletes. So the sports education program for physical education was for years not changed. I think a lot of years nothing was changed, and it was a good program for schools. But actually, the main problem now, and still, we have only 2 hours a week for kids to do physical education. And you know that 2 hours is not like 2 hours be active, because all the first things you gather the kids, you see that everybody comes, you give some instructions. In the end, you close the session of the class. So actually, if you like numbers, 20, 25 minutes, optimistic, they're really active. And usually the old program is about teaching athletics. It's about teaching ball games like basketball, handball, volleyball. It's about all the to do all kind of rhythmic gymnastic, or but that's it. It's end in this. And now we started to rewrite the curriculum. It's a team of seven people. Each of us is relevant from each professional things. Like some of us is about the team sport, so it's about all the ball games. There is a individual sport. There is a recreation. There is literacy. There is improving thinking, emotional, on things like this. Social relationship, and to be active and healthy lifestyle education. This is the team. But when I came to this group, I said I want to do something that will connect between all the teams. And this is the values. This is the Olympism. This is the philosophy behind. Because actually, I don't think that these values of Olympism is only for physical education. You can promote these values also in the history lessons. So then you can speak about ancient Olympic. And you can even talk about that in other discipline in school, and to find the values that you can find like a peace or fair play in others discipline. But if we are coming back to the physical education teacher, my dream that every physical education teacher will have the ability not only to bring the ball, for example, and to teach how to throw it. This is a part of the physical education class, but using this game to teach him some values, to develop life skills. And it's a good example because, like we say, joy of effort, by doing it, by being active and feel it, and if the teacher know how to emphasize and to discuss about the values, the kids will gain two things. One, he gained the individual skills like how to throw, how to run, how to be active. But the second one, he will gain more values and more skills for life. Because if we talk about excellence, not to be the best of the best, but every time try to be better than you were yesterday for yourself. And then when you go, if it's to the university or later on in your career, you need to strive all the time to be better than yesterday regarding yourself, not to be better than somebody else. So this kind of values, if we be smart enough to know how to teach physical education, but also through that to use it as a tool for life skills and value, will gain a very good society, a very good citizen.
So that's something that you are writing and including into your syllabus right now.
Yeah. And I'm trying to connect between the team, the values, and how to teach these values through each team and each discipline.
That's fantastic. Mary, on this point, I know that you actually used to also work in another school where you actually implemented a lot of your own initiatives into teaching students in your classroom about Olympic education, sport education, the values. Excuse me. And can you tell us a bit about that program? Because I know you forwarded me this article that you wrote, and it was a great article on how actually you used the legacy of Youth Olympic Games, whereby you had the part in your class. So can you tell us a bit about that? How you did that?
Okay, so during that time, I was privileged. I was told to revamp the physical education curriculum for the school. And when I look into the PE curriculum, I think it's important that we have something that we can ground ourselves on. And because there was nothing much to start off with, so I could integrate or use something that is existing. Okay, we don't have to reinvent things. So what I did was I pulled out excellence, friendship, and respect. Singapore, as Singapore Olympic Academy and the Ministry of Education during the Singapore 2010, they came together and they came out with a resource package, like what OVAP, if like Hila was mentioning. So it was something like a resource package for teachers, and there were 3 packages. One is for the primary school, secondary school, and one for the higher tertiary students. So these are very essential and very useful resource pack if you have nothing to start off with. So what I did was I used a higher tertiary education package. I looked into it and I planned the 1-year program largely based on the activities that were listed out there. What I did was I also included programs such that outdoor programs, outdoor education. because I think it's important for the students to respect the environment, to understand what's nature. So that was one of the part where I asked my colleagues to look after, because I have one colleague who was very much into outdoor education. And we also believe in, if you know what is the David Kopp experiential theory. So we use that experiential theory to reinforce our point, our pedagogy skills, meaning that we put the students through exercise, and then through the exercise they form values, they beliefs, and after that they will reassess what they had before, and then it might reaffirm their beliefs and their principles, or they might come up with new theories. So this is a kind of experiential approach to pedagogy. So what we did was a lot of things. We let the students have free play. We give them a guideline. This is what we want at the end of this month. We want you to create games for your friends based on excellence, friendship, or respect. And we also ask them to look into some fundraising events if they can. So by going through all this in a physical education curriculum, it's possible, because we do not just introduce excellence, friendship, and respect, which is the Olympic Games values. We also pull in the Paralympics values, okay, which is like determination, inspiration, courage, and E is can't remember what is it. What is E? Yeah, DICE. Okay, there's another.
Excellent.
Oh no! It is. Well, I'll think of it. I'll let you know. So you see, so these are the values that we bring into the students. So we actually introduced Paralympic games, like sitting volleyball, goalball. So that was really a very. I would think it is. I mean, the feedback we got from students is they're very happy, and they've never done this in their secondary school life. So when they came into this program, they felt it was something that was new. They have outdoor education. They are introduced to Paralympic games. They have to come up with their own events. And the finale was was really wonderful, because the students, I made use of the tangible assets or the leftovers from Youth Olympic Games, like the podium, like I also used the opening ceremony protocols, like walk-in ceremony. We have the coach's oath, we have the pledge taking, the national anthem, and then we have sports presenters. We let the students run their whole event. And because this group of students that I was with, right, they were actually involved in Singapore Youth Olympic Games, but they were involved passively, because at that point of time they were young. So maybe they were like 11, 12 years old. So when they came to me, they were already 17, 18 years old. So they had some memories of it, but they can't really make out what is it. So I gave them opportunity to kind of relive that moment. So they go, oh, yeah, Miss Ang, I kind of remember this song, because I used the theme song. And then I brought in the torch. I borrowed from the SNOC then. I can't remember if I did borrow from somebody. And then the podium, everything. I just kind of like recreate that scene. And it was really wonderful. I have very good colleagues, and they all agree. And because they were also involved in the Youth Olympic Games then. So they understand where I was heading, and they understand what we were trying to create in this new curriculum. Yeah.
That's really good. And this is a good lead up to my next question to you, Mary, is about your impact study. Can you share with us some interesting findings on that?
Oh, okay. So this is a qualitative online survey, and I think Neil will be sharing the link with all you guys. If you want interested, it's in the World Olympic Library. So it was a commission study, and we managed to collect 1,000 over responses over 15 weeks from youth who were 16 to 25 years old in 2016. So in 2010, they were just 10 to 19 years old. Because 6 years later, they became 16, 25 years old. And from that impact study, the results was, I'll just list a few interesting ones. So 92% of the respondents, they were aware of Singapore 2010, and 88% became followers of Singapore 2010. Now, more than 60% of those who were involved, those who were aware of Singapore 2010 felt that the event had affected them positively. Now, from this overall understanding of the research, we went down to look at more details. Now, we find that more male youths were actually aware of Singapore 2010. But who were the ones that were able to sustain their interest after Youth Olympic Games? It were actually the female. The female, the youth, maybe the males lost their interest, but the female youth were actually more able to sustain their interest after 6 years. So this is quite interesting finding. And we also found that the local youth from migrant background, because in Singapore we have a lot of we have a lot of foreign friends with us, and so most of the youth, that if one of their parents is non-Singaporean, they're considered from migrant background. Local youth who were migrant background, who were more aware of Singapore 2010, were less likely to follow the youth Singapore 2010. So perhaps it's because that they do not feel the connectiveness. Then we also found that the Singapore Youth Olympic Festival, which was the only youth sports event legacy of Singapore 10, continues to impact the young Singaporeans even after 6 years. So the Singapore Youth Olympic Festival was inaugurated 1 year after the Singapore 2010 as a kind of anniversary, and it has been there all the while. And the youth who were involved then found another opportunity to be involved, to relive their memories through that Singapore Youth Olympic Festival. But the Singapore Youth Olympic Festival only allowed 18 years and below to participate. So what happens for those who are above 18? Well, they can take part as a volunteer. They can help off as an organizer now. So I think that's really a good thing, and it should continue be there. So the other interesting thing that we found was the overview of the behavioral aspects of sports participation for the youth. Because of the Singapore 2010 event, they have started to take part in more sports, and they also started to be more active in their daily lives. So these were very positive and very encouraging findings in our impact study, so which we have already shared. And we hope that any countries who are interested in to host a Youth Olympic Games or major Youth Olympic Games to look into this impact study and to see how they can, improve from what we have done. I mean, we can always, like what Hila has mentioned, we always strive to perfect our things, right? So we strive for excellence, and what we're doing is to impact and to give the positive legacies to our young generations. So not only from me, there's also another impact study by in Innsbruck 2012 by Dr. Martin. So it's also in the Olympic World Library. So anyone who is interested can download and have a look at it. Yeah.
I think it's very important, the study that you are doing on the Youth Olympic Games, because what I believe is the biggest impact on the Youth Olympic Games, and also you mentioned something along the lines, is the fact that there is a sense of nationalism for them to maybe come out and volunteer, to be proud of their country, to be able to do that, right? And to have your game, I would love to have Youth Olympic Games in my country one day. So hopefully in the future, I will come back to you and your study, and then I can tell the people who are organizing, hey, look at this study by Mary, do the right thing. We learn from the past. And on this point, Hila, I wanted to ask you, because I know that within that Olympic Values Educators program that you launched in 2015, there is one aspect where it's also about nationalism, about your flag, about the blue and white. Can you tell us a little bit more about that program?
Yeah, sure. The program which was started, which was established, and it was built from 6 sessions. The first session is to teach the kids about the Olympism and about the Olympic Games and about the Olympic movement and what is all about. The second one, I called it Blue and White Moment, because I thought that kids in Israel, as they need to know who is the prime minister and who is the president, they need to know their sport heritage, which means who are the athletes that who are the champion, has medal in the Olympic Games, and also about the heritage. When we started to participate in the Olympic Games, like Israel started only in 52 in Helsinki. And then we speak about the Olympic values. And I also send you, so you can share it with the participants, some links. I found that if you show them things, reality, like they can almost touch it or to see a story that was happened. So I show them few movies which I download from YouTube, and we were see the movie. It was like 20-30 seconds, and we were discussed which values we can see in this movie from other athletes around the world. And this was about the values. Then we brought them nutrition to speak about healthy lifestyles and how to be active and how to deal with your schedule during the day and to eat well and in which hour, so you will be able to be active better, not to eat a very big meal before you go to practice, okay? Something like this. Or sometimes I just told them, show me your breakfast or your lunch, and everybody take it out, and some of them had good sandwich with cheese and vegetables, and some of them had a chocolate. So we were discussing about that, if it's good or not, but it was in a very positive way, so they can learn how to have a better lifestyle and to be active. And as I said, the high point was to be charged on the Olympic Day. But now I can tell you that, as we spoke also, Mary, me and you before, we always need to be better and to try to make it, even the program needs some changes. And one of the changes that I also saw from the OVEP, which I was in the seminar in 2016 in Lausanne, and the OVEP, which I was just now before the COVID-19 in Lithuania, there is only 2 hours a week. If we take these 2 hours and sit in class and discuss, we also lose to be active. So we need to be able, as I said before, to teach through the legs, not by sitting and showing movies and discuss, but be active and through the activity to give them the values and life skills. And I really believe in a life skills development transfer. So it's beyond sport. So every teacher, physical education teacher who comes to this class has and see his kids for the first day of the year, it's an in existing stage. This is how they are. Now it's really your role as a physical educator to understand and to give them sport experience, not only to throw the ball, but something that will be beyond sport. In this way, you will be able to develop their life skills. The outcomes will be behavior change, and then the highest level will be transference to other fields in life. And this is what I'm trying to do now with the new curriculum. And this is what I saw in the OVEP 2020, that they try to change to talk less and do more, be active, and a little bit like a discussion to understand what we went through, but more to be active. And
This is
in this
very
way,
interesting, actually, because I find similarities in the way that the physical education is taught in Israel, and it's good that you are trying to change it, because, like in Malaysia, we also say, okay, physical education is the teacher just giving the ball and you go and play, and that is what's happening in Israel apparently as well.
I hope it's not going now again, but it's not still again. But there are some schools, there are some teachers that try to do and give more values to the class. So just for example, if we are talking about fair play and somebody lost his ball or make a wrong way, and somebody laugh at him, or on the other end somebody fall and somebody come and help him, even if it's from the other group, then you can stop for 1 second the class and say, look what's happened, and to give them the feeling that you see everything and we are talking about everything, and in the end of the class we are talking about that, and we learn how to play fair play. Or like you say to them, now you decided about the game and you are decided about the rules. You need to find 3 or 4 rules and you need to play. And you give them to play 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then you stop and ask them, do you think there is a rule that is missing in this class, in this game? Or do you think that you gave a rule that needs to be deleted because it's not a good rule? And then we change and we give them to feel what we are talking about. And every time that is my something that I learned from through the years, that when you try something and you do something, you remember it more than just talk
Yes.
about it.
Is this something that you are writing in the curriculum for both the younger and also the older and also the university, or is it only a certain
Right. Determination.
Now it's
certain
only
age?
now it's only for the school, not university, but it's divided for three groups: youngest, middle, and high, because it's different way to teach,
Of course.
and it's different target group. And for the university, what we are doing, it's especially for the physical educator teacher. Then we have the train the trainer seminar, and we give them the session as we wish they will give later in the school. So they will be like the ambassador in school. They will take this. It's like the OVEP, but with some changes, because what I'm trying now to research in my studies is that after we went from OVEP in 2015, we were 22 countries. Each of us went to his country and did something, but different. Nothing was the same. And I'm now getting back from all my colleagues from around the world, what did they do? And I found that there is nothing that is similar.
Okay.
So I would like to be able to find a way that to build a baseline, which will be the same in every country, like globally program, but with enough flexibility to be locally adapted, because there is difference in language, difference in beliefs, difference in culture, a lot of difference that needs, like we just spoke about the Israeli heritage, Malaysian heritage or Singapore heritage is different. So we need to do something that will be globally, like Olympic Day. Everybody's celebrating Olympic Day, but with enough flexibility to change for each country by the difference of between the countries.
Yeah,
This
and
is
I guess that's something that also your company Sport Life Plus is trying to
yeah,
do, to
yeah,
try to find that standardization, but having that flexibility, right?
yeah. Sport Life Plus is more for it's not only for school, it can be for each group, even for business people, older people. We come and see the needs, what you
Right.
need to change, what you want to change, and we give a tailor-made program that through activity, we work on the search and change that they ask us to work on or
Okay.
to prove, to improve.
So, Mary, maybe can you share a little bit about the physical education in Singapore? I mean, maybe some of what Hila had mentioned also applies to Singapore.
If we are talking about PE trained teacher in Ministry of Education, I think this is something that I think we are very fortunate, because all PE teachers in Singapore, before they're deployed to Ministry of Education to any schools to teach, they have to go through trainings. So all PE teachers, they have to go through at least 2 years for those who have already a bachelor degree. If not, it will be about 4 years for their bachelor in physical education. So we kind of really, I mean, when I listen to friends talking about that, some of the PE teachers who are not trained and they just throw the balls to the students, I feel that it's very sad that, you know, students are not given the quality physical education curriculum. I'm not saying that the PE teachers are doing anything, because they were not taught. So how are they going to do it for the kids? So then, just to share, like last month, I did an online session with China. China invited me to do a session to teach the teachers how to the different pedagogy skills, and they did it for the rural PE teachers. They told me that the PE teachers in the city are all trained, but those in the rural, they are not trained. They have no institute to train them. They just basically be a teacher in a rural area. But so what? Every child okay, has the right to quality curriculum, quality PE curriculum. So because of that I feel so strongly for that. I told them, no problem. I can do an online session and I will teach the teachers. And it was wonderful. The teachers, I was doing it in English, so they have a translator with me. So with that, I think they have to go through about 2 or 3 months of this online session, and they have to submit a homework, then to be assessed, and then they can graduate. So recently, I think last week, they just sent me a message that the group of students have graduated. 300 over rural PE teachers were trained online for about 2 months or so. They do have some fundings. They got some fundings from China business person. Okay, so that's what they have been doing. Now, coming back to Singapore PE teachers, as I said, we're very fortunate. We are trained. But during my time, maybe some of my teachers were not trained. But as far as I know, past 20 years or so, the PE teachers were all trained. So we have to go through training programs, and in the training program, we have pedagogy skills. We have one lesson on Olympic studies. I remember just one lesson, not even one module, just one lecture on Olympism, Olympic education. That was it. But we do have very structured sports education curriculum. So even though PE teachers do not explicitly use the word Olympism or Olympic education, we are teaching values through sports. And the values are sporting values. It's just that we do not bring up the word Olympism, Olympic education. But as the years go by, and because of Singapore Youth Olympic Games, we get to more teachers are more aware of this 5-ring world. So as and when they could, they will integrate Olympism, Olympic education into the PE curriculum. So I think, so we are fortunate in that manner. So, yeah.
That's good. That's great. I think, what you and Hila has mentioned is very clear that sport, well, we don't even need to say the word Olympic, as you said. Like, the sport itself teaches life skills, teaches great behavioral skills, and teaches actually students to be more accountable for themselves as well, because like Hila said, they learn how to eat well. They learn how to take care of themselves, and that's kind of part of what actually sport teaches us as well, right? So,
but
sorry,
then,
yes, Mary.
I just want to share that, because if teachers or coaches are not trained in as the pedagogy, they would not know how to reinforce that values to the students. Because if you are a trained PE teacher, you will know that you need to create those teachable moments. You do not let the students learn by themselves. If you feel that if I teach this sports and they learn about basketball, they can play, and then they will learn about determination, teamwork, all those. Actually, if you leave things to happen by chances, the likelihood is they will not happen. As a trained PE teachers, you will know when to integrate this. You will know how to create the opportunity or create an environment to evoke that kind of emotion, and then you draw out the learning from the students. So this is pedagogy. This is something which, when you go through the teaching college, you will learn. And you have to plan your lesson so well that somehow these things, if you are very experienced, this thing happened naturally. The students will not feel that it's being orchestrated or it's not being drafted. It's just happened naturally. So I think this is something which is what I think Hila was trying to put in his in her curriculum is pedagogy skills. So that will take some time, and don't leave things to happen by chance, because it will never happen. You will never draw out that learning experience, and you will, once you miss it, that's it. So
so I think the key word here also is physical educators. We need proper physical educators, and that is something that in Malaysia ourselves, and actually in episode 3 when we had Dr. Leo Anmin, who used to be our curriculum, who used to work in the curriculum department in the Ministry of Education, was trying to implement, to say that actually physical education and physical educators themselves need to be properly be trained. And that's something in Malaysia, I don't know, I cannot speak for them because I'm not trained in physical education, but going through physical education myself and seeing my friends' kids go through it, it's something which is missing, and both of you have highlighted the importance of physical educators being trained properly through a proper pedagogy and that transference. And I love that word, transference of life skills. So we have, well, it's already 9:55. My God, we have been chatting so much that time flew by. So we have one question from Muhammad Halim. And he's asking, what's the greatest personal achievement since getting involved and sharing the values of Olympism in each of you? So I think this is going to be our last question for tonight. We just had a fantastic discussion. So let's start with Hila. What's the greatest personal achievement for you?
The personal best achievement for me, for sure, was the award of from the Committee of Fair Play in 2015, because they gave me they saw what we did with this Olympism project. Although I think it needs to be changed and needs to be better. So in the end of this day, I really happy that I was chosen to be a part of this team to rewrite the curriculum, because this way it will give me a chance and opportunity to make a change. By giving me the chance, by giving me the belief that I can do it, I hope that what we shall write in this curriculum will be in the field by the physical educators. And as Mary said, it's not only about just playing, and they need to prepare. You can't come to the class and just want to play with the kids. You need to prepare. You need to put targets and goals for this class each session. You can't teach the all values in one game. You need to decide, today I'm going to emphasize fair play. Today I'm going to emphasize excellence. But you need to prepare with the questions, to be prepared with the goal, with the aim, and to be able to evaluate your process. Yeah. Because now we are just talking, but nobody really found the way of evaluate in the end of the year. Did I get this excellence for my kids? Did I get this fair play for my kids? And last and very shortly, it's not only about three values, excellence, respect, and friendship. It's much more. You speak about peace, we are speaking about fair play, we are speaking about tolerance, we are speaking about harmony, we are speaking about solidarity, and especially in this day, in COVID-19, we need to use, especially this time, we need to use this sport as a wonderful tool to give these kids the life skills and tool for life, to be much more resilient for changes in life, to be much more fit to life. And this is a good opportunity to do that. And we must do it.
That's great. And about you, Mary, what's your greatest personal achievement apart from our friendship? What is your greatest personal achievement?
That was what I wanted to say, Oh, so you took my lines. So I think the biggest achievement for me in getting involved and about Olympism is the friendship that I gained throughout the years. Nothing else but the friendship. I mean, it's the friendship that keeps me going. It's a friendship that makes me feel that it's worth doing what I'm doing. I really that's my final thoughts for tonight. I don't care. You took my statement. I only have that.
You have many friends. I'm only one out of 1,000.
No.
And I believe that the both of you. Okay. Yes.
I remember the Paralympic values. Okay, it is equality. Okay, determination, inspirational, courage, and equality. So that is DICE, and then for Olympic Games will be excellence, friendship, and respect. I just need to, as a teacher, I need to finish off this statement.
And as Hila said also, it's not only about those values. It's so much more. It's about peace. It's about solidarity. It's about sustainability. All the positive values actually are what sport is all about, right?
Yeah.
And both of you have done so much. You guys have touched so many lives. I think you have also changed for the better so many students that you have taught, and also the people around you that you have spread Olympism. So before we go, our dear Tanya Lee, she was our speaker in episode number 2, and she is actually our sports dietitian. She said, "Thank you for this very good sharing session from Neo, Mary, and Hila. I hope we can have inspired more physical educators to instill the values of Olympism in schools." Thank you, Tanya. I think that's important. It's not only the values of Olympism. If the schools do not want to use Olympism, that's fine. But it is the sporting values that we need to instill, right?
Yeah.
So before I wrap up, I just wanted to ask from each of you 3 words that you can say about Olympism. So Mary, go for it. 3 words.
Excellence, excellence, friendship, and respect. For the end of tonight, just remember these 3 words: excellence, friendship, and respect. Live by these values.
And Hila?
A way of life.
Okay, way of life. Okay, that's 3 words. That's fine. So
But it's need to, if you give us 6 words, then it's a way of life to know excellence, friendship, and respect. And if everybody will remember these 6 words from this session, I think we did our job well.
Yeah.
Yes, I think. So thank you very much, Mary and Hila, for coming on this episode today. I think the work that the both of you have done are just incredible. And actually, you guys are still doing that job. So do continue. And I hope that Malaysia will be able to implement some of the programs that you have done similarly in your own countries. And in the near future, Mary, you are just a bridge away from Johor Bahru. So when the pandemic is over, I hope I will be
Durian.
able.
I want to eat durian.
Yes, now is the durian season. Hila, you won't want to know what's durian. But I hope to invite you, Mary, to be a speaker in one of our programs that we are hoping to run as Malaysian Olympism in Action Community. And Hila, I hope that we will continue our collaboration both in Ignites and also in Olympism, in the compatriots that we build around the Olympism world. So let's stay in touch. And thank you very much, both of you. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have lost my number of words because our conversation just went on like that so fast. But I believe the efforts of Hila and Mary and its positive outcomes are testament that Olympism, Olympic education, sport education, physical education is nothing but beneficial to everyone, whether it's a student, whether it's a parent, whether it's a teacher, anybody. It's just life skills that you learn. So I hope that Malaysians, for those of you who are listening and for those of you who are going to listen to the recording of this episode, and the relevant Malaysian authorities will look at Olympism as not just as elite sport, but as a tool for education, socially, mentally, and physically. So that's all from me today, and from us, the Malaysian Olympism in Action community. Do join us not next Thursday, but this Sunday. It will be our final episode at 9 p.m. and we will have a very interesting conversation with the future generation, as we are going to talk what is sport to the future generation of Malaysia. So come and join us. And to answer today's question, how relevant is Olympism in other countries? I think all of you can agree that it is very relevant and that we in Malaysia need to implement it, whether it's in schools, in universities, or in just our way of life. Thank you very much and selamat malam.